she is not testing your muscles, she's testing your will. She's not testing your muscles, she's testing your will. So a lot of advice in this arena tends to be around being an alpha male, let's say. And I did a live stream yesterday actually with James Tusk, and we were talking about, well, nominally we were talking about the notion of being dangerous or appearing to be dangerous. We veered off topic as always, but the key thing was, you know, danger, not in the sense of being physically dangerous or anything like that, but being somebody who is sort of unpredictable and anything could happen at any time, right? And we're trying to push that message that women are attracted to volatility and friction more than they are to placid, calm rationality, let's say, on an animal, visceral sense, all right? And in the comments, somebody was saying, well, what does the dangerous man look like? Can the dangerous man wear a suit or whatever? And I was thinking about it, and I said, well, I guess if we're being stereotypical about this, you know, the dangerous man as understood by most of society would probably have tattoos on his face, you know, tattoos on his neck, big muscles, maybe some kind of gold chain, wearing a vest, all of that sort of stuff, right? That might be the stereotypical, or dressed a bit like a gangster, you know, that kind of thing. That might be the societally perceived notion of what the dangerous man looks like. But of course, it's very easy to flip that on its head, because all you have to do is invoke, once again, Daniel Craig as James Bond, a man who often walks around wearing a suit, but who is, in the character at least, undeniably a dangerous man. So it's not so much about the semiotics of the clothing or the look as much as the mindset and what sits behind that. So you could be a dangerous, in inverted commas, man and work in the city and wear a suit every day and be very smart, or you could be a drug dealer wearing a tracksuit and still inhabit that same energy, okay? Now, what we're talking about here is adjacent to that. So we're talking about it not being your muscles that she's testing, your will. And I suppose what I mean by that is, in a similar vein, there's a lot of emphasis in this space on working out, but not just working out. There's a lot of emphasis in the space on working out in order to get big, right? In order to get jacked, in order to be, you know, muscularly big. And it is popularly assumed that, crudely, gonna get run over here, crudely, the bigger you get and the more jacked and muscular you get, the more that women are going to be attracted to that. Now, that is a flawed assumption for a number of reasons. The first one being that women genuinely do have different tastes. I mean, yes, there are some women that go for that, for sure, 100%, not denying that. But there are also women who don't like that as much. They prefer the leaner, slimmer, more athletic looking guy. I would say I probably fall, depending on what training I'm doing and, you know, different phases in my life, but I would probably fall more into the latter camp. And actually, some of the most successful guys that I've known in dating who, you know, who do this stuff and command the respect of a lot of different women tend to be actually the more, I mean, still ripped, but the more athletic, slimmer sort of guys. The jacked meathead look is fine. I mean, some women love it, but it is not the all-conquering thing that you think it is. But anyway, the point of this is not to say don't go to the gym, because you absolutely should go to the gym, whatever kind of physique you want. And you should also determine the kind of physique that you want, right? I mean, the most popular one that people tend to quote is Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And of course, when you look at that, he wasn't huge in that, but he was very lean and he did look in fantastic shape, okay? So actually a lot of guys do recognize on some level that it's not about being huge, it's not about being The Rock, okay, in order to be attractive to the maximum number of women. Although The Rock's lost weight now, I think, hasn't he? Anyway, that's an aside. The point is, though, regardless of your muscularity, that's not necessarily what she's testing. What she's really testing, and again we come back to mindset, is your will, is your masculine will. And you can be the biggest bloke in the world and you can still behave with extreme weakness around women. And they will sniff it out very quickly and they will punish it very quickly, unfortunately. This is just human nature. This is just how it goes, okay? And we know people like this. We know people like this. We know guys who are physically very imposing, right? Physically big, physically powerful men who look like they could take somebody out, right? Probably could take somebody out, maybe have. And yet, their behavior around women doesn't reflect that. Their behavior around women is still somewhat submissive. It's still somewhat supplicating. They still pedestalize women. They still put women above them in the totem pole, and it shows through. And women react accordingly. So it's not this simple equation that people probably think, where she sees you, she sees a big guy, she thinks, oh right, big guy, powerful, end of story, that's it. It's not like that, because as you will be aware through personal experience or just through watching content, women tend to test men continually for fitness, right? For fitness as a potential mate, okay? So they're always going to be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's just, it's biological, it's natural, but they're always going to be chipping away a little bit to find out if you're what you actually claim to be, right? So if you come on with this kind of alpha attitude, and I hate the term alpha really, but you know, we're using it here because it's easy to understand. If you come on with this kind of alpha attitude, then she's going to test that. She's going to chip away at it subtly to see whether you actually live up to that or not, or whether it's a pose. And in a lot of cases, it's a little bit of a pose. And so what you've always got to be prepared to do is to push the nuclear button if necessary. And the ultimate sanction that you have in any situation, I say any situation, this counts for, you know, relationships, for romantic relationships, but it equally accounts for jobs, for friendships, for business alliances, and so on and so forth, is to remove yourself from the situation, okay? Now, a lot of guys won't remove themselves from situations like a relationship or a business partnership or a friendship because of loyalty, because of fear of what's on the other side. Is there anything on the other side, you know? Am I going to be left high and dry forever? And that in itself is the counter opposite of masculine energy, right? Masculine energy, if it's anything, all right, if it can be defined in any way, it must be about being able to do your own thing. And if circumstances come to a point where it's too much, right? It's, you know, things are just bad for whatever reason, and you sit around and you tolerate that, then what does that really say about you as a person, okay? And how is the other person going to respond to that? Are they going to respect you? Well, obviously not, right? So the important thing is not so much how big you are, how much you can bench, how much you can deadlift, and all of that nonsense. The important thing really is how you act and how you are prepared to act in difficult situations, okay? So I hope that you can see the distinction. I think it's pretty clear. It's not, I mean, look, again, for those at the back of the class, I'm not now saying, so don't go to the gym, don't work out, don't be in shape, don't get big if you don't want to. Obviously do all of those things. That's great if you're doing it for you. But just understand that that on its own is only the external stuff, and that on its own is not enough. It has to be backed up by the will, okay? Nietzsche, the will to power, okay? Do you possess the will to power or not? Are you in command of your own life or not? Are you going to let somebody else walk all over you or not? That is the question, okay? That's what she's testing you for, and that's where attraction ultimately comes from. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Do give me a like, give me a comment, subscribe to the channels if you haven't already. Get in touch for coaching, the email is below, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.